Welcome back to the show. Today we are asking the question, who is going to be the next face of the NBA? LeBron is nearing the end of his career, or potentially has already ended his career if you believe this.
I had a lot to think about, to be honest, and just for me personally, going forward with the game of basketball, got a lot to think about.
Either way, I'm emotionally preparing for an NBA season without LeBron James. And I'm trying to think about what my fandom is going to look like with the king being gone. If you're a bronzexual like me, you've been enjoying watching him try to outdo the most iconic NBA player of all time, Michael Jordan. And if LeBron ends his career, you're not even really sure how to follow the league. Maybe you don't have a team, or maybe you don't have a player whose career you're emotionally attached to. You find yourself just staring at a TV watching guys play a basketball game, which I think we can all admit would be a little bit boring if we didn't know the context around every game and what the story was. I often find myself at Dodgers games drinking $20 Modelo's, staring at the field, wondering if I left the garage door up, because I don't really follow baseball. When I'm watching the NBA, I am watching to see who is going to arise as the league's biggest star. So, which of the league's young players has the highest likelihood of achieving a legacy like Michael Jordan or LeBron James? And more importantly, which player has the highest likelihood of your grandmama learning his name? Let's start with a 28-year-old man who has quietly risen the ranks to be widely regarded as the league's best player, Nikola Jokic. Jokic has been the MVP in 2021 and 2022, but one of my best friends had never heard his name until this postseason. He'd actually confused him with Luka Doncic. I'm sure a lot of you have friends who are casual sports fans and probably think they're the same person too. I think this is a testament to the fact that a player needs to achieve playoff success to reach the cultural zeitgeist of sports. So I'm not a big baseball fan or a hockey fan, but the players that have reached my lexicon are Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, and Mookie Betts. And Mike Trout, I think that's a guy. And in hockey, it's Alex Ovechkin. He's the only player I know. When I think of the NHL, I think of him. I've digressed into on hockey, I'm sorry. I'm actually gonna lump in Giannis with Jokic as well. And Giannis has even won a championship. Most people don't know who Giannis is either. Why could this be? Some people argue that it's because they're in small markets and they don't get as much media attention. Players like Kobe and Jordan played in large markets and they got a lot of media coverage and a lot of reach. But I don't think this is true at all. LeBron played the majority of his career in Cleveland, Ohio, and the Cavs are historically one of the least supported teams in the league. And while Miami is a great place to live and avoid state income tax, it is not a top 5 sports market in North America. As a Laker fan, I'll even admit sports media covers the Lakers way more than it should, but it definitely did not before LeBron and AD got there. The years between Kobe and LeBron, nobody talked about the Lakers. Nobody was writing up stories about Julius Randle and Lonzo Ball. Even now, the New York Knicks had a great season and they were doing really well at the All-Star break, but Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson got an abysmal amount of fan votes for the All-Star game. The Knicks are the highest valued sports franchise in the NBA and they're supposed to have the most fans. But if they don't have a superstar, the fans are pretty dispassionate. I believe that NBA fans aren't as much attached to a locale, but more to the players that they like, unlike the NFL and the MLB. Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden became some of the most commercially successful players in the league in Oklahoma City. The city you play in has nothing to do with whether you make it onto a Wheaties box or Nike gives you your own shoe. Nobody cares where you play, but do they care how you play? Yes. Consummately being a highly skilled basketball player is one thing that is the criteria of being a superstar. Players like Boban, Caruso, Bol Bol, Taco Fall have pretty big followings for whatever reason, but to be an ambassador for the league, you gotta do big things in the playoffs for your team. Okay, well Giannis and Jokic have done just that. So why is Russell Westbrook in this Hennessy commercial that I've probably seen 1,100 times and I've never seen Jokic during a commercial break? Okay, and I know Giannis is in a ton of commercials, and you'll hear him saying Glizzy gone in the back of your head for the rest of your life.
Glizzy gone.
But Jokic isn't selling Google Pixels and roast beef sandwiches, and his profile is now raised higher than Giannis. What gives? At first I thought maybe Jokic is just concerned about ball and he doesn't have time to do commercials. But it turns out Jokic is in loads of commercials in Europe. But for some reason, North American brands aren't f***ing with Jokic. Is it because he's European and his name is hard to say? No, because look at Boban. We saw Boban in commercials 10 times more than we saw him on the floor for the Rockets. So I don't have an answer for you as to why we're not seeing Jokic in the United States commercials. But I'm curious to see what happens if he does win a championship. Which he probably will, I think. Taco Bell is really missing an opportunity here. Everyone knows that Jokic was actually drafted while the broadcast had cut to a Taco Bell commercial. Advertisers can do something funny with that. All that being said, I think Jokic could win 3 finals in a row and the general public would probably think that LeBron and Curry are the best players in the league still. They don't know what's going on. So, in America at least, I don't think Jokic is going to be the next face of the league, unfortunately. So what about Giannis? Giannis basically has the same resume as Jokic. He's in even more commercials now than than Chris Paul is. Disney made a movie about him and his story. I still don't think he's going to be the next face of the league because if he was, he already would be. And I think there are two reasons for this. The main reason is his name is hard to say, spell, and even read for English speakers. Honestly, I say Antetokounmpo, and I'm pretty sure that's wrong. This may sound stupid, but I think people are actually intimidated to say his name. I think you'd hear more people talk about him if his name was Robert Duncan or Mark Barnes. Also, I still hear talking heads on ESPN say Joel Embiid. So now I'm thinking maybe the NBA has moved beyond the need for a face. MJ, Kobe, and LeBron were star players that brought attention from the world to the league. And now the world is producing its own stars. The NBA is becoming fashionable all over the world. Similar to how in the last 20 years, European soccer has grown in popularity in North America, and thus increasing the popularity of the MLS, which seems to be expanding a new team every year. But still, the league is going to need some new stars while Curry, KD, and LeBron's ligaments are now deteriorating. So let's see who has the potential to be the name that your grandmama remembers. Obviously, this player needs to play winning basketball, but I think there are two other factors. The player needs to be cool. The players I would put into the cool category are Allen Iverson, Vince Carter, and Kyrie Irving. Allen Iverson was short, but he was an incredible dribbler and passer. He was also the first player to be fully tatted up with cornrows. He really didn't look like anyone else. And to see a star have the confidence to express himself all the way down to the armbands and baggy pants made every kid at basketball camp want a pair of i3s. Vince Carter is the most iconic dunk contest champion ever, and he took putting on a show for the fans very seriously. He even had the ugliest signature shoe of all time, but people still bought them because they thought those shocks would give them a little boost to dunk like Vinsanity. I'm playing, I still think those shoes go hard. I love them. I think these young players now are missing a huge opportunity by sitting out of the dunk contest. It's a great way to get your name out there and be beloved by the fans. And Kyrie, despite digging his own grave with his off-court presence, still had the third most backcourt votes for the All-Star game, because the dude is fun to watch. The other factor is likability. I put LeBron and Steph into this category. They're both silly family men who like to have a good time, give back to their communities, and don't take themselves too seriously, but take their work seriously. I love LeBron, I love Steph. I know that seems like a contradiction, but both seem like really cool hangs. The player that I think was clearly going to be the new face of the league was Ja Morant. Ja Morant had everything going for him. The spotlight was on him in Memphis. He had a crazy highlight reel and young players really connected with him. His team had its own personality and its identity was really shaped by him. The dude also has a look, and I think that's very important. People don't really think about that. So if he can get past this weird obsession of wanting to be perceived as a gang member, I think he could still be the next face of the NBA. Alright, well thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this video. If you think it's Tatum, if you think Tatum is the next face of the league, let me know why. For some reason, I don't believe it's him, but it would add up, but I just don't see it. Thanks. Well, I already said thanks. Be good to your mothers, eat a corn dog.